Good morning, boys and girls. As you'll remember, yesterday, Ms. Shah-Solle read up to this page here in Desmond and the Very Bad Word. Um, just to kind of let's bring us back to our setting and where we're at, I'm going to skip ahead to the author's note at the end. And this book is written by Desmond Tutu, who is a famous social justice advocate during the time of apartheid in South Africa. And here he is right here. It says in the author's note, this story was inspired by something that actually happened to me when I was growing up in South Africa. Um, so, so it's important as we're getting into the story to remember that. And in South Africa, which is right here. So there we see the continent of Africa. There's Kenya. Here is South Africa. And this is where our story takes place. And it's probably taking place in the 1980s. And at this time, there were a lot of, during the apartheid movement time or anti-segregation time, there were a lot of protests. And a lot of people coming together to fight against the separation of the black folks and the white folks in South Africa. It's compared to the segregation movement, the civil rights movement that happened in America in the 1960s. And here's an image of protesting the segregation in the United States. Let's get back to our book. So, that night, Father Trevor dropped in to see Desmond's parents. Desmond carried a pot of tea into the living room and then went outside. Usually he would try to listen to what the adults were saying, but tonight he just wanted to be alone. Sitting on the doorstep, Desmond looked up at the starry sky, an empty ache in his chest. He thought he could even see the mean word written on the face of the moon. That's a very nice bicycle you have, Father Trevor said as he sat down next to Desmond. The black paint gleamed in the moonlight. Desmond had forgotten to show his bike to Father Trevor. Didn't matter now. He just shrugged and turned his back. He didn't want to talk, not even to Father Trevor. Still thinking about that mean word? Father Trevor asked. Desmond slowly nodded. Our hearts are fragile and easily hurt. This is why we were given a way to heal them. It's called forgiveness. How can I forgive them? They haven't said they're sorry. You don't need to wait until someone says they're sorry to forgive them. You have the power to forgive whenever you are ready. I'm not ready, Desmond said. That's fine, Desmond. Only you will know when you are. Father Trevor got up to leave. Desmond felt a lump in his throat. Father Trevor said very softly, Let me tell you a secret, Desmond. When you forgive someone, you free yourself from what they have said or done. It's like magic. A week later, Desmond was riding his bicycle down the street when he saw the boy with red hair surrounded by two older boys. That'll teach you, one of them said, dunking the head of the red-haired boy into a bucket of water. Seconds later, the boy managed to raise his head, his wet hair standing up like a carrot top. He looked like he was about to cry. A woman appeared at the door. Leave your brother alone. You're as bad as your father. Now get in this house before I... She didn't finish her sentence before the brothers were inside and the door had slammed shut. To Desmond's surprise, he felt sorry for the red-haired boy. A few days later, Desmond ran into the neighborhood market to buy his father a newspaper. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a flash of red. Turning, Desmond realized it was the red-haired boy. He was standing alone in front of the candy counter. It was filled with lollipops and delicious chocolates. Desmond wanted to say something, but what? Thinking of the mean word he had shouted at the boy, Desmond finally blurted out, "I'm sorry for what I said." The boy looked at him, speechless. Finally, he stammered, "I guess well." Desmond didn't need the boy to say he was sorry. Would have been nice, but as Father Trevor had said, it really wasn't necessary. "I forgive you," Desmond said quietly. As soon as the words were out of his mouth, Desmond felt a little stronger and a little braver and stood up a little taller. After buying the newspaper, Desmond went outside. The red-haired boy was sitting on a milk crate under a shady tree. The boy stood up and moved toward him. Desmond froze. The boy looked around to see if anyone was watching, and then handed Desmond a piece of candy. For just a moment, Desmond looked into the other boy's eyes and smiled. Then he hurried to get back on his bike, first popping the piece of chocolate in his mouth. As the sun set behind the houses, Desmond pedaled home fast, not out of fear, but out of joy. The cool wind felt good against his face. He wanted the sweet taste of chocolate on his tongue to last forever. Slowly, he spread his arms out wide as if he were flying. At last, Desmond knew what it was like to be free. It was as if he could embrace the whole world in his outstretched arms. And here's a picture of Father Trevor Huddleston with the legendary musician Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong is one of the most famous jazz musicians of all time. So here's the author's note. This is what Desmond Tutu wrote about his book. It says, "This story was inspired by something that actually happened to me when I was growing up in South Africa. Father Trevor is based on Father Trevor Huddleston, who was my childhood hero and really would let children play marbles in his office. Father Trevor mentored me and countless other young people. When I was ill in the hospital for 20 months, he came to visit me, one poor boy in his whole parish, every single week. At another time, he asked Louis Armstrong for a trumpet, which he gave to a young boy named Hugh. Hugh Masekela became one of South Africa's greatest trumpeters. Father Trevor, who eventually became Archbishop Huddleston, was one of the most important members of the anti-apartheid movement, the name given to all those who worked together for an equal and just South Africa. He truly did care about everyone, and in many different ways taught us the secrets of love and forgiveness. In his honor, my wife Leah and I named our first son Trevor." And that's the end of our book for today. I'm very excited to hear what you guys think about this book and to hear what it makes you think. What are some questions you have? What do you think about the changes of Desmond in the book? What do you think he's like as a person? But yeah, so we'll be sharing another book with you tomorrow, and we'll see you soon. We'll talk with you soon.